So this is a brand new 52 volt Samsung 14 amp hour battery. I got them from a guy selling a couple bikes left over. Let them sit in his warehouse too long without charging. He pulled them out, tried to charge them. They only charged a little bit and kicked off. Wouldn't get up to full voltage. So got the bikes thinking it needs new batteries, but I think it's going to be a low voltage group of cells. So let's open this thing up, find out what's going on.
Trying at the same shit, kinda tired, tryna give a fuck. Saving grace has never hit the same end. I've been running out of luck, yeah. Said I've been running out of luck, yeah. Said I've been running out of luck, yeah. Said I've been running out of luck, yeah, yeah. Kinda tired, trying at the same shit.
So here's the battery pack opened up. You can see it's a 14 cell, right? It's 52 volt. This is a 4-pole. You can see the groups here. We got a group, and now they're all in lines of 4, going right down. So in these batteries, the BMS, it's monitoring the voltage of each individual cell. As you can see, the BMS leads connecting to each positive side of the cell. So they live or die by balanced voltage. What they don't like is one cell to be lower or one cell to be higher. That's what's going to be triggering these things on and off when either you're riding and it's cutting out, or you're trying to charge it and it's not charging, but you're not getting that voltage up to 58.8. So let's get a meter out. We'll test these out and we'll see what the cells are looking like. Okay, so here we go. We got my multimeter out. Have it set on volts. Now I'm going to skim across. I'm guessing these things are going to be all over the place, but let's see what we got. So group number 1, 4.04. Group 2, 4.12. 4.09. 4.05. 4.04, 4.09, 4.06, so they're pretty close. You got a 3.94, 4.11, 4.07, 4.09, 4.06, and we got a 3.68, 3.97. So you can see like 3.68. So obviously when this is cutting down, all it takes is one of these cells to hit below the 3.2 volt, all right, to cut that BMS, to cut the power off. That way you don't drop it too low. And same thing on the charging. Like I had a 4.12. Yeah, 4.12. So that is group 2, is 4.12, almost 4.13 volts. And then all the way down to my lowest 3.68. So you see how far out they are? That's what happens. If you don't charge these or maintain them and you let them sit for too long, the BMSs are going to drain a little bit. You're going to start getting the voltage out of whack. So I'm going to show you now how to bring the voltage up on the cells individually. And once again, this is a brand new Samsung. You can see these are Samsung cells. Samsung cells. Brand new, never used. I pulled them out of bikes with 0 miles on them. These are brand new. So normally if it was an older battery pack, I would test like the internal resistance, make sure I don't have a bad cell inside the group, things like that. Normally if you're running a battery normally and you start having that problem, you got to start checking into your cells. This is just erratic from not being maintained, really. I mean, you can't leave them sit for 2 years not putting a charger on them. So, all right, let me get my power supply out and show you how we're going to bring these things up. So here I picked up this power supply on Amazon. It's a Just Verity brand Amazon. I'll attach the link for it in the description. But it's a 0 to 30 volt, 0 to 10 amp. It's got two options, constant voltage or constant current. I'm going to use it on constant voltage. So the other thing I have is, this is just a little, it's a homemade clip I made. Because I would solder like one of these 2.1 by 5.5 DC jacks on here. I would solder to where the BMS leads to be able to individually charge one cell. But this clip I made, I can kind of move it along and pop it on wherever I need, whatever cells I need to bring up. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start bringing up the lowest cell. I believe that was group 13. Let me see, can you see? I'm going to move this battery. So here's group 13. Let me move this power supply here. Yeah, group 13. Let's test it again. I'll set that up so you can see that first. Yeah, that was my 3.68 volts. So now this is polarity sensitive, obviously. You don't want to be wrong on your polarity. So 13, this is my positive side. You can see the little insulator. This is the positive, this is my negative side. So my clip is my positive lead, my negative lead. And all this is just a piece of plastic I bent. It's kind of like, has a little spring to it, so I can kind of lock it on there, and it keeps tension against the nickel strips. And I don't need this connector for what I'm doing. The benchtop power supply comes with these alligator clips. I can clip right on there. So I have this already set. You can see it's set at 4.22 volts. You can go up. I mean, we won't get into that. Like, this is nice because you can set it at exactly where you want it to stop at and just set it and forget it. This one, I'm trying to bring it up a little bit, so I got it set at 4.22. I'm not going to leave it there. The actual voltage I have at the terminals is only going to be like, well, I'll test it and I'll show you. So this positive side once again, so let's lock this on there. There you go. See it start pulling? Right now it's pulling 8 amps because that cell was a little low. I try to keep this, I can adjust it down. Like if I adjust my voltage down, you can see the current will start dropping off. So if you want to do a nice slow charge, you can set it there, 4.15 volts. I'm pulling 6.5. I can even go lower. See 4.9, 5.7, but I'm going to keep it 4.2. I'm going to bring that up. And when you see 4.22 volts on this, I actually, at the terminals, I'll show you. I'm going to test it right at the nickel strip that's making contact with the battery. 3.88. So what that is, I'm dealing with some voltage drop coming through these leads. So I'm always kind of monitoring between where this is. As the current drops, there's a little lesson on Ohm's law and current draw. So as the current drops, you're going to have less voltage drop at your terminals. So if I wanted to counter for that voltage drop, I could crank this voltage up here. It's going to pull more amperage, which I don't want to put into the battery right now, but it would bring this voltage up. So right now I have it, it's drawing 6.8 amps. It's going to bring this up. It's going to take a little time, so I'll jump in between. And you can see right now, I'm testing the cell. See, it's already at 3.80. This is like the charging voltage. That's the charging voltage of it. The nice thing is, the right way to do this, like I'm trying to speed this up a little bit for the video, is I would normally take, and the first step I would do is I would take all the cells up to my highest cell. So it was the 4.12. I could set this right at 4.12, clip it on there, and just walk away. It would automatically, as it's getting close to 4.12, you'll see once this thing's drawing 0 current, it's right at 412, right at your set voltage. So that's the best way to do it. You get exact accurate charges on all your cells. But here, I'm going to do this to bring this voltage up. I want to get them closer, and then I'll even them all out by moving back and forth. Okay, so here is one of the cells completed charging. This was group 2. I had it set at 4.12. It's drawing no current. You see that? So we can take this off. Test it. Come on, stay up there. Actually, I'll just try to hold this. .12. So now I'm just going to go down the line. I'm going to pretty much get these all charged up to the same voltage, and then from there that should wake up the BMS and let it start charging completely. Do it in a couple steps. The other thing is, after I get it done, I'll let it rest after I get them all charged, and then come back to it a little bit later. Just leave it sit on the bench, check the voltage again, in case sometimes after you charge them up, especially if you're doing it at a high rate and you're charging them fast, you got to let them settle back down. The cells will even back out. So even if you take the charger off and you're sitting at 4.15 or something like that, for example, by the time you take it off and you come back an hour later, that 4.15 can drop all the way down to like 4.13, depending on, like if you're, like I said, doing a high rate charge. I like low and slow, So if you do that, you do a slower rate, bring them up, it'll be more consistent. If you want it, if you're doing all this, you want to make sure you're nice. By the time you're done, you want to have these all exact, and then take it from there. And I'll leave it opened up. I'll put it on, I'll charge it, and then let it with the regular charger and make sure everything's going up. And then same thing, I'll let it sit again, check my voltages down through all the cells and make sure everything's even. Because once the regular e-bike charger gets this thing up to voltage, if I take it off, let it set, and one settles down a little bit lower, I can then set this thing right at like 4.198 or 4.20 and bring that one cell up or two cells and get them even again. It doesn't hurt to do a couple times, get them nice and even, and then extend the life of this battery. Bring this thing back. It's, like I said, brand new. So there we go. We'll leave this thing sit up and charge. If you don't have access to a benchtop power supply, drop a comment below. I can show you some other techniques I use to charge these up individually without a power supply. All right, thanks for watching.